Welcome to our third and final installment of the Think Critically series. In the first video, we looked at the evolution of the news media, and in the second video, we explored how information shared on social media can influence us as well as politics without us even being fully aware of it. In this video, we are going to pull it all together and learn how to critically evaluate information.
Yeah, so whether you're scrolling through social media, checking the news, or doing research for your college paper, we will be going over strategies that should help you generally in any scenario where you could be presented with information you might need to make a decision of some sort.
So more specifically in this video, we will offer you two different tools: select the best information source and the crop test.
The crab test, Zura, did I hear that right?
Yeah, you did. Are you curious? Well, hang tight. We will also walk through examples of how to engage with sources and kind of demonstrate source evaluation in action at the very end of this video.
All right, so to warm up, what is a good source and what is a bad source?
Think about it for a minute. But to be honest, I don't have a specific answer for you because it really depends on what you need the information for. Or, in other words, what is your information need? Is your information need more personal? Are you wanting to try out a new restaurant? Or are you wanting to figure out who to vote for? Or are you expected to present that information more formally? Like, are you writing a paper? Or are you working on a project report for work with specific expectations? Or are you just having a friendly debate with a friend?
Well, that's a lot of things to consider.
It is, but the two tools we're about to go over should really help you out. So, tool number one, to select the best information source chart, you are presented with information through various sources. Generally, the most common source types are presented on this grid. I mean, I think we intuitively know the general differences between a newspaper article and a scholarly article, but this chart that goes a little deeper and can specifically help you in the context of evaluating information. So each type of source has a different purpose and a specific audience type. So you need to be aware of that and also consider what you might need to watch out for when you're engaging with a specific source type.
Okay, so for example, news articles are intended to be for the general public, whereas scholarly articles are intended for other scholars and research in particular for a particular field of study. So when you're interacting with the scholarly article, you will have to keep in mind that the terminology or data might be difficult to understand for people who typically don't read scholarly articles or are not in that field.
Exactly. So, and when looking at newspapers, you should keep in mind that the authors or the reporters may not have the same level of subject expertise as a scholar in that same field. But that's okay because the purpose of both source types are different, right? And another thing to be aware of is that there might be an editorial bias of a news publication, whereas scholarly articles strive to limit bias through objective study and peer review.
Hey, Zora, I have a question. Is bias a bad thing?
That is a great question, Gustavo. I think bias is a very natural thing. And again, you have to keep your information needs in mind. What are you using the information for? Are you looking for a specific perspective or are you wanting to know about someone's experience? Generally, when it comes to news or research, you would want the information to be as objective as possible. That does not mean that research reports can be without error. There can always be gaps in knowledge. That is the reason why we are continuously researching. So it's also good to be aware of your own biases. We all have them. So when you evaluate information, keep aspects of your identity in mind. Are you just affirming your worldview? And in the context of your information need, is that appropriate to do so or not? How might someone from a different perspective look and consider this information?
Okay, well, that brings up another point. What exactly is credibility?
I'm glad you asked. So from the supercredibledictionary.com, it is basically how trustworthy something or a person, institution, or a source is.
So, how can you determine how something is reliable or credible?
I think everyone might have their own criteria, but generally you want to consider the accuracy of the information. And again, depending on your information needs, you want to assess the expertise of the author. So, for example, you have scholars with advanced degrees in educational psychology conducting research on the social experience of college students. But who else might also have a pretty good insight on that college student experience?
College students?
Yep. So another approach to credibility and expertise is to consider the author's relationship to the topic. So there is a lot to consider when trying to determine the credibility and usefulness of a source. My colleague at Meriam Library developed the CRAP test. Yes, the CRAP test as a way to help folks get started when evaluating information. So you basically ask yourself a series of questions to help you decide whether the information is crappy or not, and it depends on what you need it for. So the C stands for currency or the timeliness of information.
The questions you would want to ask here are: when was the information published or posted? Has the information ever been revised or updated? Does your topic require current information, or will older sources work as well? And if it is online, are the links functional?
Yeah, so if you're looking for information on the best educational technology, you would probably want current information and not something from 1970, unless, of course, you're doing a historical survey, then something from back then might be okay. So again, context. Uh, oh,
The R stands for relevance, or the importance of the information for your needs. So the questions you should consider here are: does the information relate to your topic or even answer your question? Who is the intended audience? Is the information at an appropriate level, or, for example, is it not too elementary or too advanced for your needs? Have you looked at a variety of sources before determining this is the one you would use or even need? Would you be comfortable citing this source in your research paper if you were writing one?
all right, so the first A is authority, or the source of the information. For this, ask yourselves, who is the author, the publisher, the source, potentially the sponsor? What are the author's credentials or organizational affiliations? Is the author qualified to write on the topic? Is there contact information such as a publisher or email address? That helps to build credibility if you can reach out. And then if it's an online source, does the URL reveal anything about the author or the source? For example, is it a .com, .edu, .gov, .org, .net?
And just how we talked about earlier, you have to consider the author's relationship to the topic and what kind of expertise is needed.
Yep. So the second A stands for accuracy, or the reliability, truthfulness, or the correctness of the content. So ask, where does this information come from? Is the information supported by evidence? And if so, where and how is this evidence provided? Can you verify any of the information in another source or from personal knowledge? Has the information been reviewed or refereed? Does the language or tone seem unbiased and free of emotion? Are there spelling, grammar, or typographical errors? Again, the more intensely you have something reviewed before it is published, especially by other respected scholars, you can assume there is a higher degree of reliability and accuracy to the information. And finally, P is for purpose, the reason the information exists.
Yeah, for this, you would ask, what is the purpose of the information? Is it to inform, teach, sell, entertain, or persuade you? Do the authors and sponsors make their intentions or purpose clear? Is the information in fact opinion, or does it come across as propaganda? Does the point of view appear subjective or impartial? Are political and ideological, cultural, religious, institutional, or even personal biases present?
Yeah, and speaking of biases, don't forget to consider your own. So there is a lot of questions to consider. Just remember CRAP and know that it isn't something you have to go question by question and mark off like a checklist for every source you evaluate. I mean, you could. In fact, when it comes to writing papers and creating annotated bibliographies, CRAP test and those questions will give you a lot of content to work with and write out. But in reality, though, and especially with more practice, you will be able to breeze through these critical questions in your head more naturally.
Yeah, so Zara, how does this look like in action?
Well, let's take a look. So we created a Padlet activity as an opportunity for you to practice source evaluation. The Padlet activity will be linked in our library guide. So once you are in the Padlet, you basically have a couple of options. So for the source evaluation activity component, you will see the instructions in the four source set options. And the topic you're exploring in this case is the Black Lives Matter movement. You can either pretend that you're writing a research paper on the topic, or you're doing some more personal and casual research to understand the national conversation that's going on regarding this topic. So choose one source set, and each set has three sources for you to evaluate. For written instructions, check them out in the instruction columns all the way on the left side.
Yeah, so basically you're trying to answer these 6 questions for each of your 3 sources. For the purpose of this activity, you don't have to read each source. You're scanning them or essentially pre-reading them by looking at those 6 factors to help you evaluate the source. We have also linked some of these source evaluation strategies and resources we've talked about, so check those out. But again, you are focusing on answering those 6 questions for your sources.
Yeah, so just to show you what we're asking, we will model some of the ways to explore an online source. You can write down your own notes as you answer the questions by adding a note at the bottom of your source set. These are anonymous, so don't worry about getting anything wrong, but do give it your best shot. And to just add, you can add a note and that will create a note for you to write. So Gustavo, which set should we do?
Let's do source set number 2.
All right, okay, so first source from the Meriam Library. Once it loads. All right, so just by looking at it, what kind of source do you think this is?
This definitely looks like a scholarly article.
Yeah, let's see. So what is great about using sources through the library search is that most sources have a lot of information about the source that can help you identify the source itself by providing all sorts of information about it. So you see sometimes a summary, usually, sometimes a preview of the contents, and even associated keywords. So to access the source itself, you just click on the link, and then you will probably have to log in using your CSU credentials. So let's see. And then we're taken to a specific database for more information about the article. So if we click on the source, it will tell you whether, if it is a journal, whether it is peer reviewed or not. And so the source is peer reviewed, sweet. So if you want to access the article itself, where do you think we should go?
Right there on the left where it says PDF.
Yes.
Mhm.
So that will take a minute. All right, so we know this is a peer-reviewed article. It definitely is a research article just by glancing at it. You have the author affiliations and all the other components of a scholarly article. By the way, we do have a video tutorial of how to break down scholarly articles, so check that out. But anyways, just poke around the article, read the abstract, skim through the article itself, reading a couple of sections to help you answer the question.
Yeah, and from the abstract and reviewing this source previously, this research looks like how the Black Lives Matter movement was portrayed on social media through the hashtag during an 11th month period during 2014. This is very interesting. Okay, next source. Let's go.
All right, so let me close out of these for right now. Next source. Okay, actually, let me open it in a new window. All right, so this one is from Fox News, and I will admit personally, I don't have a good impression of Fox News, but I think that actually comes from what I hear about Fox News rather than actually engaging and reading their content.
Yeah, again, it's a good idea to check out the news from the sources that may differ from your ideological standpoint. Why don't we check out their mission statement?
Definitely, and good idea. So let's see. Usually, websites have their about section at the bottom or the top. So scroll, scroll, scroll. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so they have the about area right here. I don't think these quite hit it. Maybe, I guess corporate information. Let's see. Okay. So I guess we have the corporate information. That is something, but it doesn't address much about their reporting policy or mission. Just I guess that a lot of people trust and watch Fox News. So yeah, let's just go back to the article at this point. Okay, so this article actually seems to provide information in an objective, straight way. So we don't know much about the writer, I don't think. We have his Twitter handle, so we could, I guess, investigate that further and kind of get a sense of what they write about, and then we of course can see what the author or the reporter has written about. Um, yeah. What else, Gustavo?
Yeah, well, look, it looks like this article was published on June 2nd, which is right when Blackout Tuesday occurred, and it was updated the next day. It mentions the celebrity support on social media and links to their accounts. It also shows tweets from different folks explaining why the Black Lives Matter hashtag for this particular campaign is problematic and offering the critique that doing so isn't the most effective way to show support because using the BLM hashtag for this movement was drowning out actual coverage and communication of the movement itself.
Okay, so this article is definitely in conversation with a scholarly article we just looked at previously. So if I was writing a paper on this topic, I would use this article as a way to show how celebrities currently show their support in the summer of 2020. And then actually the criticism of using the hashtag for a different purpose to expand on some of the findings in the first scholarly article that was looking at the BLM hashtag.
Yeah, that was cool. So, what is the third source?
Let's check it out. Oh, okay. Okay. Last but not least, and I want to open it in a new window. We have a piece published in August of 2020 from the New Yorker. So, whoa, okay. So we don't have much information about the author. I think if we click on their name, yeah, I don't think we even have social media information, but we can go find that, right? Everything's available online. We do see the list of what they've written otherwise, so that gives you an idea. Lots of pop-ups. No, thank you. Okay. So, okay, so this piece looks like it is a cultural commentary. So it's a different style of writing. It is not just straight up news. Right off the bat, it looks like a feature piece because it's in longer form and more exploratory and essay based, I guess. This piece, having looked at it before, actually focuses on Black Lives Matter's movement in regards to a broader conversation regarding the role of social media for social movements. So the author includes links to some of the resources that they're mentioning.
Yeah, so I've heard of it, but what exactly is the New Yorker?
Great question. So I guess again, let's check out the all the way at the bottom to see if they have more information about.
Mm.
All right, beautiful. So the New Yorker is a magazine and they describe themselves as, quote, the New Yorker is considered by many to be the most influential magazine in the world, renowned for its in-depth reporting, political and cultural commentary, fiction, poetry, humor, da da da. And in print and online, the New Yorker stands apart for its commitment to truth and accuracy, for the quality of its prose, and for its insistence on exciting and moving every reader, unquote. So they tell us a little bit more about like their mission, I guess, and their perspective.
Nice. This is what I like to hear. So, all three articles are definitely topically related and provide different perspectives and pieces of information to a larger conversation regarding the movement that is Black Lives Matter in the age of social media. Again, depending on your information need, whether you are casually researching to inform yourself or even if you're investigating for a research assignment, it will be up to you to determine the usefulness as well as the credibility of the source and even the accuracy of the information presented.
Yeah, so we quickly modeled how you might engage with a source initially. We hope you will take some time to practice source evaluation through this activity. The more you practice, the easier, quicker, and more natural it will become for you. So remember to use the CRAP test to help you ask those critical questions. And don't forget about your personal biases.
Well, that brings us to the end of this video and tutorial. Through these series, we have shared a lot of concepts and strategies in an effort to aid you in combating misinformation as well as information overload. We hope these videos and activities have been helpful to you.
It might seem frivolous or insignificant, but how we engage with any kind of information really shapes each of our worlds. So, what kind of world do we want to live in together? The responsibility is on each and every one of us. So, remember, think critically.
Mhm.